Hey, beautiful ones. My intention with the Shamangelic Healing Podcast is to be a platform that explores real life issues and provides you with valuable insights and practical tools to support you on your journey of healing core wounds and reclaiming your power and manifesting a thriving, impactful life that you absolutely love. You see, it's my dream to inspire millions to shine. So if you find these topics valuable, please take a moment and share the podcast and leave us a rave review. This helps the podcast grow and reach the people that would greatly benefit from these insights. Thank you so much for tuning in and investing in your personal development. I'm right here walking this journey with you. So let's dive into this episode. Hey, beautiful ones. Today we're going to dive into how emotional chaos leaves clues. So when there's resentment, when there's anger, when there's depression, when there's frustration, when there's sadness, that's usually an indication that your emotions are trying to get your attention to look at something that needs healing, something that's out of balance or out of alignment, something that needs to be addressed, fixed, or released, or adjusted in some way, or maybe evolved. Maybe it's something you're holding on to too tight and it's long past the expiration date. And so today, just because recently I've been really enjoying, I know this sounds odd, but enjoying the fact my emotions are leaving clues about what's not in alignment. So where are your emotions telling you something needs attention? So let's look at where there might be watery emotions, where there is sadness, where there is depression. And let's start with sadness. Sadness is usually an indication that we're grieving something, that we wish it was a different way than it is, or that something is not meeting our expectations, or we're sad that there is a loss and that a chapter is closing or a door is closing and we want it to be differently. And you have the right to feel sad. That doesn't mean you're not spiritually woke. It's important to honor our emotions. They're intelligent. And, people ask me all the time, I want to connect to my spirit guides. I'm like, let's start with your emotions. Your emotions are spiritual guides. They are communications from your soul, from your body, from your higher self, your God, your God, angels, your spiritual counsel. Emotions are intelligence, and they're knocking on the door of our consciousness to say, look here, there's a clue, there's something that needs attention. And so if there's sadness, if there's watery emotions, it might be time to allow grief that a situation is closing or ending, or that something didn't go the way you wanted. And it's okay to feel the feels about that and not just ignore it, or I have to be tough, or I shouldn't be bothered by this, and stuff it or bully yourself into ignoring a very healthy emotion of sadness and grief, and give it the space and time that it deserves to process and evolve. Maybe it gets further to that, and there's depression. Depression is a natural correlation to when something is not in alignment. A lot of times my clients that are experiencing depression are in a relationship that is not loving and supporting, safe, or healthy, or they're in a career or job that they absolutely loathe and it's not the right fit. It's maybe it was never a fit, or it's just not a fit anymore, and they're staying with it out of fear. And so here comes this depression because we don't love what we do, and what's the point? We can feel like life is futile, and it's not uncommon to feel that when something, a relationship, a career, or living in a certain city is not in alignment, or something's not right about it, to actually feel way past sadness and frustration or anxiety, but depression. And that means something needs to change. So instead of stuffing the emotions, instead of ignoring them, what if you leaned in? What if you got curious? What is this emotion about? What is it telling me? Why am I depressed? Why am I sad? And take the time to sit with it. I know it's uncomfortable, but what's great about it is that the pattern will stop once the core issue is identified. Is when we look at, if we follow the thread back of our emotions, we're going to find out, what is the root cause? Oh, I'm not having clear boundaries. Oh, I'm in a job that I don't love anymore. Oh, this relationship needs to be infused. It needs to grow. It's stagnating. Or we haven't dealt with some core issues and that's causing conflict and resentment, and we're growing apart and no one wants to talk about it. And like sometimes the emotions are anger or resentment, and lately rage. Actually a couple weeks ago I felt rage. I haven't felt rage in a long time, but there was something so not okay and so not right. My full body responded with a hell no. Not quiet, like, oh no, I don't like this, but like, rah, really? And I just gave permission. I'm not going to spiritually bypass that, oh, conscious people don't get angry, or conscious people shouldn't be depressed, or, shouldn't get upset or raise their voices. Like, yeah, no, I am going to do that right now. And I think giving permission in a safe space to have sacred rage, not that it gets vomited all over social media or gets vomited all over your loved ones, but that we learn how to say, gosh, if I am feeling anger or resentment or rage about something, then something's not in alignment. And I kept getting frustrated with this particular situation, and I was just so angry. And I was like, oh, what is this trying to show me? I gave myself permission to feel the feels, and I invite you to do that. Give full permission without going into, judging it or oppressing it, but a safe space to express rage, anger, sadness, frustration. And then once the emotion, the waves of the emotion have moved and it's a little bit more still, now we can question, what is this showing me? What's this really about? What is this teaching me? What isn't working? What don't I like here? Why am I so pissed off? What do I feel hurt, disrespected? Is there not communication? And in that inquiry, in this particular situation, I was like, oh, I've got a vendor, like this situation, it's not in alignment. I need to let them go. I need to fire them. I can't, my frustration is saying, my anger, my rage, my frustration is saying, oh, I'm trying to get a situation to fit that isn't fitting. It doesn't fit. It's not working. And frustration is a great indicator of that. Fantastic. I'm so glad I'm frustrated, because now I can look at it, get curious about it, and now I can fix it. I can be like, okay, this is the wrong vendor. And as soon as I really got with that, there was this huge relief, and I got to come back to center again of like, oh, okay, this isn't about trying to get it to fix, get it to work. It doesn't fit. It's not in alignment. It is not meeting my needs, and I don't have to, just throwing a tantrum about it or trying to force it to meet my needs is not working. And that's a wonderful tool to be able to be with your emotion, be with your frustration, be with your sadness or resentment or anger. And then what could change? What would make this feel better right now? And in relationships as well, a lot of times there's frustration because we haven't had clear agreements about things, and there's unspoken expectations where there's needs, wants, desires, feelings that are being triggered because we're not having clear communication or clear boundaries. We're not addressing infidelity or substance, a lot of alcohol in the relationship, or a lack of communication. One or both parties might be, triggered and then going into their cave or outwardly blaming. And that frustration, if we just ignore it, if we don't address it, because I know a lot of us are conflict avoidant, where it's like any conflict, I'm just going to avoid it. But if we don't figure out what the conflict is about, then we can't resolve it. And guess what? The conflict just repeats. It gets louder and with greater stakes on the other side, with a bigger pain consequence, or a bigger financial loss, or a bigger heartbreak on the other side. Like, the emotions are trying to shake us awake to say, hey, here's a pattern, here's an issue, here's a wound. And when you honor the feels rather than stuff them, ignore them, and sedate them, and oppress them, when they're honored and expressed in a healthy way, then we can go in and say, what is this really about? Okay, I'm not having clear boundaries in this relationship, or I'm self-abandoning to accommodate everybody else. No wonder I'm frustrated and exhausted and bitter and bitchy. It's like, there's probably a reason for that. And full permission to go and get curious about what isn't working, whether it's in your health, whether it's in your relationship, whether it's in your finances, whether it is in your career. What is something that is an emotional peak? And I love that it's the emotional intensities a lot of times that get our attention. It has to get our attention, because irritation and resentment doesn't seem to get our attention enough unless we are choosing to be sensitive about our emotions, and we begin to become more aware and tune in to our level 4, 5, and 6 of emotions before it has to get to 10, 20 on a scale of 10, or it gets to 100. That when we get more sensitive and honor our emotions, and we get curious and realize, oh, my emotions are intelligent, they're trying to show me something, then we actually make friends with our anger. We make friends with our sadness. We make friends with resentment, and we make friends with depression, and saying, okay, thank you for showing up. I'm receiving this spiritual guidance from my soul through my emotional body to take a look at something, to heal a wound, to grieve a loss, to fix something that's broken, to communicate about something that's out of alignment, to let go of something that is past its expiration date and move on. Maybe it's forgiveness that is needed. Maybe clear communication, clear boundaries. Maybe it's time for you to grow. And the frustration is coming from stagnancy. The frustration is coming from unworthiness. The frustration is coming from not really saying no to some things, and you said yes instead. Like, that's probably going to cause some emotional chaos. And so our emotions are our friend. And it doesn't mean that you're not spiritual or awake. And the more you get to tune into your emotions, the more you'll be able to catch it and make an adjustment long before it gets to dragon, like incinerating fire, or a depression that is like really dampening our light and like has the potential to put out our fire. So I just wanted to share this with you today, is the invitation with me, because I'm going through it too. And I've just learned and learning, because it's a process of allowing the emotional knocks on the door to get my attention a little earlier than they used to. And especially the super loud ones that sometimes just happen, where they're not little knocks and all of a sudden, like, you're at an 11, that there's probably something really important here for me to look at. And the invitation to go in, to get curious, to honor, and to explore, to query, to question, so that there can be the clarity of what is your action step. What is the next move? Do you need help? Do you need to say no? Do you need to say goodbye? Do you need to speak up? And do you need to step back? Do you need to get some healing? And just know that I'm right here every step of the way with support, tools, and resources for this process. So just know that you've got this Anahata angel here in Sedona, whether that's virtual or in person here in Sedona at a retreat or an event or a course or whatever it is, just listening to this podcast, just know I am here to support you with embracing emotional intelligence as a tool and a resource to help guide your journey. So love you so much. Mwah. And please put a drop in the comments or send me a DM and let me know what your emotions are teaching you and what you're changing because you are learning from them. Lots of love and have a beautiful day.